Alright, so light tank on Westfield. Pretty much the same comps. I guess they've got a little bit more tier 7 heavy, but not going to make a huge difference. So it's typically, with most light tanks, I like to light through this middle area here. It's pretty easy to light these guys coming across over here without them being able to detect you. If they YOLO through here, you just basically just slide down the hill then. And of course, you always got to keep an eye on what your team is doing. And you're basically hoping that not too much of your team camps back here or over here. Neither of those are super productive. You can take a light tank out here. I don't really feel like it's that productive because you can do the exact same thing that you're going to do out here from right there. Like you can spot those guys. Your guys can, if they're in position, can get shots. All you're doing by going out here to spot them is that you overexpose yourself and you potentially make it so that you are committed to staying out here, which is not necessarily what you want. And generally speaking, if you're going to push forward here, you don't want to stop on this mound right here because, again, guys from over here can spot you moving into this area pretty easily. So generally speaking, it's better to push up here, and that allows you to spot these guys before they can come in on you, which allows your guys behind you to get better shots. It's good shooting. Let's see how that T-37 is in the middle there, but your team's not going to really get a whole lot of shots on him. You can zoom that shot. And this is a situation where you always have to understand where your lights are going to be. Like that T-37 is not going to get relit unless he like pushes that 34-1 or the 34-1 pushes him. But there's this lane that's through here right now. See how this guy is approaching this guy, where it goes both ways. He can potentially spot and shoot you, and you can potentially shoot him. So as long as he's lit by this proxy guy, then it's really easy for these guys to defend. Like that. All of the squishies! All of the squishies! Oh, that's not a squishy. And then here's where you hope that your team behind you does a little bit more damage to this T-150 than they are. Unfortunately, the thoughts be talking. And that's the danger of pushing through where those guys are pushing. There's just not a whole lot for them to do. And again, remember, you're not really so much worried about the guys backing up. You're worried about the guys that are pushing your guy. Like this T-37, he's not going to be the guy that kills that T-34-1, right? That Indian is going to be the guy that does it. So, or Moots. So you need to be more concerned about him than you are with him. Yeah, you might have a shot on that guy, but this guy's not the game-breaking guy. So to me, this is an issue of target selection. You need to try to protect your guy. And notice how your team is doing that as well. Oh, but your 34-1 lived. Now you can shoot this guy to your heart's content. Unfortunately, you're getting pushed in the back, which was always going to happen eventually. You do not want to try to challenge these guys. At this point, because you've secured this south town, right, you know that you're losing this side, you're probably not going to be able to save this T-69. I mean, if he was a better player, then well, actually, I don't know if he would be able to, because it takes him 2 clips. It'll take him 3 clips to take these guys out, which is what's going to make this difficult. Although if the moose just wants to sit there, then yeah. So it be time to run. He just doesn't. I mean, he doesn't have enough damage output to actually kill those guys, which is the bigger problem. Which is why I think you need to recognize that just a little bit earlier. But that's fine. And then let's see where else we can possibly salvage. This looks like it's you guys are playing this pretty rough up top. And this is one of the things is like you look at your layout of your team, right? You have 2 tier 8s dead, right? And you still have 4 tier 8s alive, which is really not that good. When you see when all of your high when a lot of your high tiers are still alive, you lost 1 Moots over here, and then you lost your 112 over on that side. But all the other tier 8s are probably just a little bit too far back. Which is why I always say when you're top tier, you gotta be able to contribute. This super Pershing is going to be rough for you to attack from frontally like this. So you don't want to sit here and wait for him. This is a risky move. It's potentially worth it. You need to push forward. Ah, okay, it worked out. Because you need to get to his flank. And then at this point, see how your map control is just shrinking. You guys need to bust. So this is what I always say. Well, you need to bust out in one direction. And so it's probably not going to be up here. It's probably going to be over here. So if these guys can push and clear out, then you guys can get some breathing room. Otherwise, the noose is just going to tighten. And again, remember that sniping in a light tank is not really your strong suit. Like the feature of light tanks is not the gun. And so the way that this plateau works, you're not going to be able to spot a whole lot, like if that IS-2 is dead. Like if these guys push across here, especially if they push down through there first, like where that Moots is down there. You guys need to be able to secure a little bit more ground, one on one side or the other. Oh, Moots is crossing towards you. Oh, he's going down there. P29. Front row. And so at this point, you know where their medium tanks are, you know where the heavy tanks are. You can actually drop spot, come back through here, and go and kill Artie if you wanted. Like a lot of times, you don't want to. You're playing right now. You're playing the medium tank like it's a. I'm sorry. You're playing your light tank like it's a medium tank. It's not really what you want to do. Like you don't have the gun to really realistically be able to challenge that T-29. If he was the only guy left on the map and you had 10 minutes, yeah, you got plenty of time. But it's always a tick tick tick. Right? And you're losing down here, so you got to recognize that and make sure that you win someplace else. And you can't really count on tank destroyers, especially ones that camp on the red line, to do a whole lot. Your guys are, see how what you've functionally done is shrunk down your map control even more to what you have. So these guys are going to be able to come up underneath here, and this guy's still going to be able to get shots. Again, you need to break out in one direction or another. Again, a little bit too snipey. No, but it worked. And then you don't really know where these mediums are shifting around though, so you got to be careful. One of them went underneath. I would assume the other one came up, came up this road, but we'll see. And you should look for artillery, but it shouldn't be, like, you don't need to drive down there. You can basically just run this ridge, and if you don't see them, I wouldn't worry too much about it at this point, because you've got bigger things to deal with these guys over here, and if there's a pincer action from over here. You're not really going to pen the S-51 with HE. Low. And then now is when you actually need to get closer to your teammates here. Oh no, the Moots is going in. He's gonna be in that dip. Oh, look. Looks like he's building. Oh, is the T... So again, at this point, what I would do is actually just get on the cap. Because you're not going to be able to challenge the T-44, and you're not going to be able to make a difference in that, the T-28 Proto. Well, he has one shot. You can wait for him. So what I would actually do is I would actually wait back here. Like you can sit on this ridge right here and see if you can outspot him. Like there's no need to tip him off. Because what you don't want is for him to start to come out of these buildings, get lit, and then go back in. What you want him to do is you want him to come across on one side or the other, either out here on this side or out there on that side, and then be in that open when he gets lit, right? And then he's got no choice. He's got nowhere to go. So you got to be a little bit careful. And you only have 2 shots, and so it's probably going to take both of them. So at this point, you just got to be careful about how you shoot. And this is one of the reasons why I said you can just cap at that point. And then you don't need to take a shot if you don't like your shot. No! No! You don't need to. So, yeah, that was a little bit too much of a rush. Again, you could have. All you had to do is just drive away, make it so that he can't get that shot on you. And it was a little bit of a snapshot on his part, but you wasted your shot anyway, so it didn't matter. That was purely a hope shot. That was just like, oh god, I hope this hits. Like, that's entirely what that shot was, which is entirely unnecessary, because you needed both of those shots, and you had plenty of time. You've got him in a bad situation, right? He can't really outspot you. You're a little bit close to him, but that's fine. He can't really outspot you. But again, it's that sort of situation where you spotted him too close to cover, right? And that basically tipped him off to the fact that you were just sitting there waiting, and that's a little bit of a problem, which is why, like, I would have preferred it if you stayed back here a little bit, right, which would have forced him to come across. Like, it's still not like he would have been able to come out, because once he got to over here, you would have been able to light him. You know, if he tried to get out over on this side, you would have been able to light him, but it would have forced him to actually have come out further, and you can use the fact that you've got better camo, that you've got theoretically better view range, so you have to try to use that to your advantage. So I feel like that last play was a little bit close, but otherwise, I mean, I thought you did fine. So you came south to this in that early game, which I never really felt was that strong, and here's the reason why I don't think it's that strong. You didn't do anything to these guys over here. You didn't really spot these guys. I mean, you spotted the Moots. I think it was the Moots as he pushed across here, right? And you got a couple of shots as he pushed across there, but really that was all that you did from right there. And then everything else that you did was just based upon the T-34-1 sitting over here, and their guys basically YOLOing, and you basically got some shots on there. And there's a little bit of questionable target selection there, but that's fine. And then in the meantime, they were basically pushing through here. They killed your moots in the background. They started pushing to where you and that T-69 were at. And at that point, you need to just get out. They had overwhelming firepower. Even if your T-69 clipped, he would have needed to clip 3 times. He would need to have used his entire clip and reloaded 3 times in order to kill all the weight that was over there. And so that's too much to ask for from the T-69, so you need to bail out of there. And I thought you did okay over here. You were, again, a little bit too much snipey-dipey. The gun is not the best part of most light tanks, and it's always a little bit disappointing when you see people playing it like it is. Like they're, you're hoping that, oh, I hope my heavy tank spots for me so that I can get some shots with my light tank. No. That's not how it works. It should work the other way around, where the light tank uses the superior camo and mobility and view range to light things and to figure out where things are. And then I thought coming over this side to kill the artillery was fine. Like once you started going back and you see that Moots gets killed by the T-28 Proto, at that point my feeling is that you can just go to cap, right, and then force the action. Either he has to push that guy, or come all the way back to you, like one of the two, and then just based upon how much time has passed, you can decide which you want to do. But at least that forces him to do that. But even if you didn't, like you came over here, the T-28 Proto died. Again, I would set up a little bit further over here. You want to catch people when they're crossing open areas. You don't want lighting them when they're close to buildings and things like that. That's not nearly as useful as catching them in the open, waiting for them to be in the open so that you can blap them, especially when you've only got a couple of shots left and you need to make those shots count. Alright, so if you look at stats, you did pretty well. Your camping T-28 prototype actually ended up doing a lot of damage. He let the 112 die, but he did a lot of damage. But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like your shooting was fine. Again, 26 of 45, but you're in a light tank shooting at a long range. It's just that's not what the guns are made for. When you look at the damage on detect, like that's, to me, that's a telling part of playing the light tank. And sometimes the damage on detect is low because you're spotting things and just your team is incapable of shooting them. But that wasn't really the case in this one. In this entire game, you were basically letting your team spot for you for the most part, other than the initial. And I think you did fine at the start there. Other than that initial run, you basically let your team spot for you instead of the other way around. And it's difficult to carry with a light tank gun. Again, if this gun was better, then you could have a reasonable argument for saying, oh, well, I should feature my gun and everyone else should, accommodate my awesome gun. But that's not the case, right? That's not. You're shooting at, 400 meters using this little 76 millimeter gun, something like that. Let's see how big it is. Doesn't say. For some reason I can't mouse over it right now. Anyways, it's a relatively low caliber gun without going into further detail. So I think you have to be careful with that. But otherwise, GG and nice try. Alright, then next will be Norwegian Ninja's Swedish tank. On Swamp. Swamp is a difficult map for a lot of people, I think. Although it's fairly symmetrical in the way that I think that it should be played. Basically win either the southwest or the northeast corner and then push through the middle. And so the Swedish tank is basically kind of a lot like the Skoda T25. It has a clip on it. It's a 4-shell clip with pretty decent burst. It's doesn't have as good of gun control as the T25, and also the T25 probably has slightly better mobility. But you are top tier. There's not a whole lot of heavies, so really, again, from this southeast spawn, they have an advantage to play through here, basically. So I always find it best to basically secure this southwest and then island hop through the middle. From this northwest spawn, you can secure this area and then island hop through the middle as well. A lot of it just depends on your comp and where your team actually goes. Typically speaking, it's not super productive to camp through this middle area to start. It looks like your platoon is going to the north, which is fine. So if you want to go there, again, remember what you want to do is you basically want to clear through this area if you can, and then you don't want to continue pushing through there. You actually want to come back and come through the middle. And you don't want to go through the middle early, because if you don't control this side, it's too easy for them to shoot back at you. It's also really easy for these guys to spot from either side into this middle area here, so you got to be careful of that because you don't have any spotters. And then see how like this guy's ahead, so I'm always watching what the guys in front of me are doing. So if I think that these guys and your platoon mates are going to be able to secure that area, I'm going to start cutting down through here so that I can cut off any reinforcement. Because otherwise, if they clear through here, by the time you get up there, you're basically just going to be spending a lot of time driving. Now, it's something that you sort of have to keep in mind for a lot of these, not slow tanks, but slow-esque. Like, they already lost their lead tank, and you're almost there. Almost there. Getting there. And then this is a difficult lane to push, because there's a lot of lanes of fire that come in there, which is what, generally speaking, why once you clear to this area, you don't actually need to push those guys out. You can basically just leave them there and then come in through here, and then either come around through this side, or basically through this side over here to get shots to the back. But if you are going to play, you can play this side. Like, this is not necessarily a bad play, it's just risky because there's a lot of lanes of fire in. If you are going to play this side, just do it. Just drive in and do it. Oh, they got a lot here. Alright, so then this is, at this point, right, it becomes more and more risky. So pushing in there is no longer a good idea. So this is where you go, abort, abort. Don't push anymore, right? And here's where you start looking to see if you can find an area to flank through, because you don't want to challenge these guys, and you don't want to just sit here and do what you guys are doing, which is basically a lot of snipey decky. Good. Looks like you guys are flanking. Again, you have to be careful. You got to look at what happens over here. And then as your guys are doing, you can push down. And then you don't necessarily want to push down all on the same thread. See how this guy's on this sort of lower ground? You might want to wrap down closer through here. And then see how he's occupying the sentinel, essentially. And then you guys can basically just push in here. And then you are going to need to make quick work of this, though. Nice work. And then you just want to bail out of there. Don't forget that these guys are right here. And then again, this is a situation where you're not going to get up there in time. So unless for some reason you think that they're not going to be able to kill that guy, you should already start securing them ground on this side so that these guys can't shift over to get shots on your team. Oh, look at that. Look at you recognizing the situation. Because they haven't shifted over yet, but you've lost down here, so that's something to keep an eye on. And then now you actually need to slow play this just a little bit so that your guys can catch up. Because essentially what you're doing is you're preventing these guys from shifting across, but you don't want to present yourself as a huge target here. And lighting these guys really is not going to do anything for you. It's not like your team can get shots on you or on them, but the problem is that their team can get shots on you if you're on the right side over here. And this is not an awesome place to hang out since they still have artillery. And they do have another destroyer back there. Oh, you get shot in that Hellcat though. He's going to be hiding behind that corpse. You need to shift over. Again, so because he's stuck down there, like you need one of your guys to come back through and sweep through there because you guys don't have a whole lot of time. That works. And then you want to be careful because remember, you can get shot through there. And you are going to need to sniff out the artillery, which might be back here. But you do want to head towards the cap. Like your guys, your only chance to win this is to outcap. Like, see how this 843 is going over there? You should have already told them no, come back. We need 3 on cap. That's fine. Gotta get on cap though. Like you have to understand right now that that's the only chance that you have to win is to cap before they come back. That's the only chance you guys have. Oh no, this is gonna be dangerous. So presumably their artillery is like over in that area somewhere. Usually artillery do not move very far. And see where that hit right there? On this side of this hill. So that suggests that he's over there. This is not gonna end well. So if your guys do spot, and again this is a very vulnerable spot for this guy to spot from, you actually want to be out over here. That's gonna give you the unique shots. And you want to make sure that you're far enough away. They need to be in draw, like you're getting a little close now. You're also going to the area with low ground. You need to go a little bit higher over here so you can shoot down over this area right here. Right? I'm just a little bit too close, a little bit too easy for them. And then don't forget the artillery can shoot you where you're at, so you probably want to move anyways. Lol. So the other 3801 has the cap. And the arty is shooting at you, so you have to keep that in mind. Ooh, you are backing up. This is good. That protects you from the artillery. But again, I'd like to point out that you could have accomplished the same thing that you did much easier by sitting back here. Get these shots down at these guys over here, right? All you need is for your teammate to light them, and you shoot them from safety. Right? You don't have to get lit. Arty doesn't have to shoot at you. All your guys have to do is basically a single surf and you can get shots. Again, I still think that you guys should have tried to cap out, but that's what you're looking for. And it's the same thing right now. You're simply playing a vision game. And then right now you're watching this counter. See how you're firing into that same area? When that counter doesn't go down, you don't want to back up too much. Yeah. So anyways, so you guys pushed over here, and I thought you actually did fine in your exchange over here. You went to flank these guys, which is fine. I thought you did that well enough. And then you guys sort of split up a little bit. Like 2 of you dealt with the tank destroyers over here, which I felt could have been more easily done if there were 3 of you over here, and then 1 guy could have gone around on that side. You basically could have gotten them in 1-2s, but you dealt with them well enough. Everybody was still alive after that. And then you really just needed to cap out to win that. That was going to be really, really difficult for you guys to win that unless they sat on the cap like they did, and you had somebody actually sniping them, dealing damage, rather than having your guys basically YOLO up front, which isn't super helpful. You basically can do that surf right there just to light them, and then you just duck down here and then come and get yourself already safe, and just let your guys shoot the cap from over here, and it's pretty easy to get those resets. You got way too close, far closer than was necessary for you. Again, you don't need to light those guys. Your teammates are doing that for you. What you need to do is you need to give them the confidence that, okay, hey, all you gotta do is light them and I'll kill them, right? And so all you have to do is just basically sit back here and just take all that free damage from your guys lighting. Unfortunately, you guys ended up YOLOing in, and then once your guys YOLO in and die, then okay, yeah, you got to move forward a little bit to get into that spot to light. But otherwise, there's no reason for you to do that. You need to have some oblique fire against these guys, otherwise they're just gonna hide behind dead bodies. So you want to have somebody that's broken out and further back than where you were at. Alright, if we look at stats. Not bad. You didn't get a whole lot out of your team, but they were kind of mismatched in that southwest, unfortunately. You guys did a pretty good job on that, on the northeast at least, so there is that. That is reasonably good shooting. So GG, nice try. Learn to cap out, or learn to camo snipe a little better. Like either one of those things could have won you the game. Although actually I don't know that even if you were camo or distance sniping. Hang on, let me bring up the map again. Even if you were sniping from back here, if your team YOLOs in, I think you still lose the game. I think the only way that you win given that configuration is if these guys spot but don't die from over here, and you just shoot them from over here, basically kill those guys. The KV-1 presumably was either going back or going across. We don't know, but he's not going to be as much of a threat. And then once you get those guys down, then yeah. But as your guys YOLO in here, that's pretty much game breaking. But nice try. GG. Alright, and so next would be Goatti WZ-131 on Fisherman's Bay. Ooh, 2 light tanks. Alrighty, so you're basically top tier, top matchmaking tier, which is good, potentially. And so you can spot through a number of areas down here. Basically, one of the things that I like to do, so they'll typically have a medium tanks, faster tanks up in this area here. So typically what I like to do is come down over here to this area of the road, use this building, put this building between you and these guys up here, and you can spot these guys as they cross across here, which allows you to get some shots. And then what happens is that if the only way they spot you is if they put an active scout through there, and they put an active scout through there, you just basically roll down the way. And that generally accomplishes two things. One, it gets your team some intel about what they're going to be sending to this side over here, which, as we've said, is important for making game decisions. And two, it potentially gets your team some free damage. You can also do an active scout. It looks like you're going to do a bit of an active scout. Again, it's almost a guarantee that you're more of a guarantee that you're going to get lit. But you haven't. Again, so the problem is that right now the second bush that's in front of you is blocking you from spotting a lot of these guys out here. And so see where this T-34 is lit right here. Now this T-34 did not warp over here. This T-34 did not come across over here and then come under here like this. He's not snaking around these rocks. This T-34 came across over here like this, right? But you didn't light him until he was, you know, basically over in this area right here. And so the further back that you light him, the more that you give your artillery a chance. Like, your artillery still has a chance because he should theoretically be aimed in at this area anyways. Usually your artillery don't in the early game. But like this T-34, this is the route that you want to spot of these guys coming across through here, and you want to try to spot them a little bit earlier than where they're at right now, because that's going to give your team a better chance. Remember, it's not about generating shots for yourself. It's about creating opportunities for your team. And you don't want to hang out there, like especially once you're lit. Although, who knows what their guy is doing? Oh no! Don't get shot by OI. So they sent a good amount there. They don't really have a whole lot to challenge in the middle. You have your Panther 2 right here, which is not a very good spot for a Panther 2. Your guys in the town are pretty far back. You don't have anybody forward. And especially when you control the middle, you want to play a little bit more forward, because that allows you to counter this area right here so they can't push out through there. Having guys back here and back here, these are not really useful situations, at least in the early game. Well, their T-34 is still out there. Come on, ready? And you should be looking to track there if you can. There you go. And if he's gonna sit out there, you keep him tracked, and you kind of hope that your artillery. Oh, that was a little bit not the reaction time that you wanted. That is not a good shot on the KV-4 at that angle. You're better off shooting at the T-34 again, who's lit. And again, you're sort of using your gun here more than you are trying to spot for your team, which in a sense is okay. You have to pay attention to what your guys are doing. Like if your guys are dealing damage from up here, then you need to shift into more of a facilitating role. If your guys aren't doing any damage up there, then you can shift into a little bit more of a damaging role. You do need to make sure that this ELC gets down. Oh my god! That seemed like a lucky shot, but alright, good job. And then again, you notice how these guys are pushing down here, and then remember, that's where this center is really important, especially since you've cleared them off over there. It's really easy to sit up on this top road and get shots down there. You want to sit high on the road though. You don't want to be too close. You want to have some distance between you and them, especially as a light tank. The further away that you are from the enemy, the more bonuses that you have, right? The more that your camo plays a role, the more that, you know, everything that's good about your tank is facilitated. So like right now you're a little bit too close. Like you could just as easily be back at this house up here, right, at a much longer distance to get shots down at those guys. And like this is similar to what we talked about before on that Westfield game. It's about understanding which targets are important. Like this Tiger 1, really not that big of a deal. He's not game breaking for your team. If you had nothing else to shoot at, absolutely go ahead and shoot the Tiger 1. But see this IS-6 that's over here who's threatening your Tiger? There's KV-4s coming up on the other side of the Tiger. This Tiger needs some help, right? And this Tiger, he's not going to get killed by that Tiger, probably, right? He's not going to magically, you know, get this guy over here. This guy's going to get killed by guys that are approaching him, right? And so you want to be up in this position about right here, so you can shoot down at this IS-6 to give him a second thought about pushing your Tiger, so that he thinks, oh man, this is I can't do this. There's a light tank shooting me, right? You need to be able to put some fear into this guy. Otherwise, he's just going to kill your teammate. And this is when we talk about saving teammates, like these are the situations that we're looking for. It's not just the shot that's convenient, it's the shot that's important. Oh, and your Tiger 1 is pushing. The counter pushing Tiger 1. And again, if you're a little bit further, you have side turret there. If you're a little bit closer to him, I'm sorry, closer to the top of the hill, you can get these shots. They're pushing in right now. Again, you're more worried about these guys that are close. And then you're just a little bit too close. You still need to back off a bit. You're trying to use the features of the gun again, rather than actually use the. You can technically use both. If you're further back, get into a position where you can spot them, and then back up through a bush or just by range. Like right now, you're too close to this IS-3. Once this IS-3 starts crossing here, he's gonna light you. Or not. And then you're going to need to bail off of this side at some point. Well, you don't need to. You need to make sure this guy goes down if you can. Oh, nice. Yes, get that KV-4 down. Get him. Oh. Okay, now you got to run away. Not into the building. that's something I would do. Be like, going to drive into side of house. And then at this point, really what you need to do is just push this guy over here so you can clear that out, right? You know that they've got the vast majority of their team over here. There's no need for you to spot them coming across here. You're like, again, this is the thing. You have to look at the resources that you have. You're not going to win this game by you shooting all of these tanks. You're not going to win this game by these artillery shotgunning all these tanks, right? That's unlikely. The only real chance that you have to win this game is that they overextend this way and you clear out this side and then cap them out. Like there's no other realistic way that you win this game. And so, see, here's a, when we were talking about it earlier, here's a good use of the distance play for your tank. See how you're lighting these tanks here, but they're not within a range in which they can get at you, right? And that's sort of what you're looking at. And then you want to prioritize this. You want to get these one-shot tanks down. You're not actually even that concerned about the IS-3. You'd rather, once you get these 8s down, you want to get these guys in ISO situations. Nice work. And then you actually want to get a little bit further away because he's going to appear on this other side over here at some point. So you actually want to be further back here. Again, remember, use the circles, right? The blue line represents both the well, in this case, represents both the maximum distance of detection and also your current distance of detection, which is the same value right now. So you want to use that line and put it to where you think they're going to appear. Nicely done. And it's the same thing here. You got plenty of time. And so there's a little bit of a hill right here. So eventually what you want to do, again, all you have to do is keep this guy within that blue circle, and you can play a little bit higher on this hill here. Because what you don't want to do is get lit. And again, you see how he's starting to curve towards you? That's not good. You need to get a little bit more distance. Distance, my man. Distance is your friend. Luckily, this guy's crew sucks. All right, take it. Apparently, you can win that side by yourself. Oh, the other guy lost. And unfortunately, everyone else is here. Oh, look at that. Run, my man, run. Run faster. You want to run laterally, always. And then again, you're not really worried about the SU-100Y pushing you. You're worried about where the Tiger is. And that Tiger was the one that was camping in the back, so you're not really worried. You want to go up underneath here. You don't want to face off against that Tiger. That would be bad. You basically just want to push the SU-100Y. Run away! I think this is a good tack. You can push down through here. And then again, you can basically use that distance. You can come all the way through here. There may or may not be artillery down here, which may be a problem, but... let's get that shot. Oh, look at your artillery. I would have rather had your artillery shoot the Tiger, but alright. And at this point, you can pretty much ignore that Tiger 1 and see if you can figure out where the artillery's at. Because it doesn't seem like he's out spotting you. So again, what you want to do is you want to come through here in a position where you can spot him up here. So basically, you want that blue circle to encompass where he's at still. So that as you come in, you don't want to come across through the cap anyway, so you can come in through this bush line here. And again, remember the standing or the moving camo on a light tank is preserved. So right now, one of the reasons why I would have preferred coming through this route right here is that the bushes will basically give you a lot of camo against this Tiger 1, but you also, if this Tiger 1 is still in this position, you can spot him going across. Ruh-roh. The Hummel has fired. The Hummel's not a concern right now. S51 is turning. Oh, come on, S51, help him, help a brother out. Oh, don't stop. I'll always keep moving. And then again, it's just a distance game that you play with the Tiger 1. You basically can come through this open field side to see if he's coming back across this way. What you want to do is you want to spot him at a distance. Spotting him when he's super close to you, that's not helping you. Although you probably could out-trade him anyways. You can probably outshoot him anyways. Oh, look at that. Chinese armor. Look at that Chinese gun. Your artillery should be able to hit that guy if you just light him. And again, remember, distance is your friend. Oh no! Bully time. Yeah, good job. Alright, so anyways, so you came over here to this side, which I thought was okay. Again, remember, if you play out a little bit more, you can spot those guys coming across. It makes it easier for your team to get free damage if they're set up appropriately. And so that's what you're really looking to create in that early game. But you did get your team some intel, which is good. And again, remember, once they start pushing up through this east side, it's actually really easy for this middle to shoot down at them. So make sure that you get your shots to help protect your team, because I really feel like that's important. Like, as they push through here, they become very vulnerable. And then otherwise, for the most part, to me, it's a lot about focusing on playing that range game, both in light tanks and in medium tanks to a certain extent, where you're looking to outspot things. So you want to keep it at a range and then move to a distance where you can fire at them without them actually detecting you, or using bushes to be able to fire at them without them detecting you. And I think that's an important part of late game play. And so I thought you actually did pretty well for the most part with the KV-4 and the T-34 that came through here, although it was mostly incidental because you allowed that IS-3 to get far too close, when really all you had to do was just back up towards over here, which would give you both the range that you needed to not be lit, and also solid cover in case you were lit, right? And you can get shots on those guys. But otherwise, it's a pretty good game. I enjoyed it. And so if we look at the stats, is nice shooting. Again, 24 for 41, that's something that you'll see a lot with light tanks, again, as we've said. The gun on the WZ-131 is actually pretty good, but even pretty good gun in a top, this is the top matchmaking that the WZ-131 can get, the best matchmaking that it can get. You still went 24 for 41. The guns on light tanks, they're just not as good as the guns on other tanks. And so that's one of the things you get to be careful of. But you did a good job of dealing damage, and that's important. So, GG, well played.